main reason that several of the retailers that use Domo selected it was being able to get more. It wasn't they didn't have inaccurate data, it's that the data was coming too late. And so the reason that they selected Domo wasn't to blow away what they already had, but it was so that they were getting the information in real time or near real time, being able to make decisions within minutes or hours, not waiting until the following Monday at noon when the spreadsheet was done from the intern to find out whether or not they had made the right steps. Make sense? Yep? Let's talk about the second one. Maybe. I love this remote. And maintain visibility. And what I mean by this is we get connected into our source systems. We've got reports on the screen. Chances are there are very few of you in the room who get to make decisions completely in isolation, where you're not having to validate information with other departments, without having to roll this information up and socialize it with your executives to be able to validate, this is why we're spending this money, or this is why I need this money to be able to spend, this is what we're expecting to get out of me spending this money, and why we're going after this particular thing. Being able to socialize the information across the organization, and more importantly, I know it's a cliche, but it really is true, get everybody on the same page, so that we're all looking at the same numbers, so that we all agree on what we mean by customer and campaign and canceled order and supplier, so that we can make decisions en masse and then be able to push out the results. Hey, you let me spend X on this particular campaign on social. Here's the return that we got out of that. And these are the things I'd like to do to make it even better, or this is the reason that I did so well, those kind of things.
Right. And one of the things I've seen a lot is that marketing and merch departments will work really closely together on planning meetings, so promotions that are happening a few weeks or a few months down the road, but have less visibility into how each of those departments are performing on a more day-to-day operational basis. So the example I see a lot is marketing driving traffic to products that are either low in stock or just not available. And so how do we facilitate that conversation? You know, we've mastered working together in the larger context, but the day-to-day operations, how do we do that and make sure that we're getting the best ROI on our marketing spend?
Yep, no, makes sense.
Yep.
Third one, last one, is use your insights. And by this, what I really mean is leveraging the insights of the people around you. Who in the room has seen Domo or is familiar with Domo at all? Okay. Those of you that have seen Domo or listened to me yak on one of the various webinars or heard me at other conventions and conferences know that a big part of what Domo does is not just delivering information on your mobile device and on your web browser and being able to pull that information from anywhere. It's about the collaborative aspect, the social aspect. A lot of times, Domo gets described as Facebook meets BI. I personally think that's a bullshit analogy. I don't particularly care for it, but I totally understand it. I get where it actually comes from. The reason that that's important is it allows me to collaborate and communicate with others to say, why is this thing important? Why did this thing happen? My cash is dropping or my abandoned cart rate is up. What is the reason for that? And it may be going on in a completely different part of the business that if I don't have insight into what the other person is thinking or doing, it's going to be very difficult, if not impossible, for me to connect those dots. Mm-hmm. And so that social aspect, that wisdom of the crowds, the things that typically happen in emails and phone calls and freak-out meetings, being able to pull that together and put it right with your data so that I've got this quantitative context to what's going on with the qualitative information, that we've found has been the single biggest boon for people that use Domo. Regardless of where the information is coming from or how accurate it is, we can even use that communication and collaboration to argue or agree on whether or not the numbers that we're looking at are actually right. And this is something that I think needs to be more prevalent throughout the organization, regardless of whether we're talking retail again or any other industry for that matter.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting, I was talking to someone earlier today about just that historic content to the results that you've seen. So if you're having these conversations in a meeting or via email, it's kind of lost if you haven't been involved in that conversation. And by having a collaborative area where all that information about why did we miss our sales goal on this day? Oh, it was because we were out of stock on this one item. That is retained with your report, so you can keep all of that rich context. So if someone's new coming into the organization, you don't have to explain a lot of history. It's all right there. And people, it's amazing that once you give people context, the the rich conversations that happen from that, you start to connect more dots.
That's right.
Without even realizing that they were there.
That's right. Well, the retailer Bohm, that's the reason that they selected Domo.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't about them getting access to information or getting access to accurate data. It was they were completely losing all the context that goes with it and making some pretty poor decisions, and now they can even let the stores communicate with each other to share best practices and ideas. Hey, we've moved this to this shelf, or we've changed up this display, or we've modified the way that this special is being enacted, and if they're seeing improved results from that store, then the other stores can take advantage of that, literally in real time.
Yep. That's true. Yeah, Bohm is a great, I don't know how many people are familiar with Bohm, but they're a retailer in kind of in the mountain states.
Yeah, they are.
And they have online presence, but about 12 retail stores. And yeah, they've been using Domo, and they really use our interactive feature to have those conversations within the stores. And it's made a big difference in their sales results.
Yep. No, they've seen actually a dramatic increase.
It's been good.
And these are the kind of things that we can be pulling in, right? I'm assuming some of these look familiar to some of you, the kind of systems that you tend to be using. Again, we're not here to replace those at all. It's not what Domo does. We just sit on top of it. You're still going to have people that are diving into Epicor, diving into ExactTarget, or getting their sleeves dirty in any one of the applications that you see here. But to be able to disseminate all of that out, that's exactly what we do, regardless of where that data is coming from. And that's really what it's all about. And whether you go with Domo or you go with another solution, as a retailer, quite frankly, from a competitive advantage standpoint, one of the best things you can do is empower yourself to get access to that data that you need, but get it in a way that makes sense to you, that you can collaborate and communicate with others, and make sure that you're doing it as quickly as possible, as close to real time as possible, so that you're not being reactive, but as whenever possible, being proactive. And so with that, with a whopping 5 minutes left, if you want to know more about Domo, hit us up at booth 404. And then we wanted to open it up to Q&A if anyone's got any questions. And feel free to hit both Megan and I up directly. Our stuff's down there at the bottom. Questions, comments? Dion, anything you want to throw in, by the way? Okay, not to put you on the spot.
Oh.
Not a single question? Yeah.
I mean, I'm still confused to what you guys do. Like,
That's intentional, ma'am. Next question.
I mean, like, in comparison to other analytics, like, can you give specifics as to what exactly, like, kind of data that you're giving?
Sure. So actually what we're doing is connecting into virtually all the systems that you've got. So this would not be an example where I'm going to say, I'm going to give you some extra charts that sit on top of ExactTarget. There's reporting that you can do inside that application. But if you say, I have SAP, and I have Epicor, and I have Salesforce, and I've got a SQL Server data warehouse, we pull all of that together and put it all on the same screen at the same time. So what we're basically doing is if you think of all your existing applications in your BI infrastructure as the cake, think of Domo as the icing. We sit on top. So we're giving visibility across the enterprise to all the data, not just retail data or marketing data or financial data or HR data, all of it, all together at the same time. It's obviously going to be customized because it's unique to every single customer, right? In other words, no two customers are going to have the same dashboards or charts on the screen because it's going to be your data and your data sources and the metrics that matter to your business. And the best way, stop by booth 404. We can tell you more about it and show you what it looks like.
Yeah,
got a question in the back? Oh, I'm sorry, did I just cut you off?
No, I was going to say, the only thing you mentioned that we're going to connect to all your data. The other thing that's nice about our tool is that it's not that you're going to be bringing in every single data or metric that you would ever look at. We're actually going to be creating dashboards that are very focused and tied to your business goals so that you're not getting distracted by all of the data that's out there. Because I think that's the thing we've been seeing the most now is that there's just data overload. And when you're trying to make these quick decisions, you don't want to be looking at, oh, well, is this metric going to be meaningful to me? Or should I be looking at this one? We really want to understand your business goals so that we can create dashboards that are going to help you make decisions that are going to actually improve your results.
Yep, so you're not getting distracted by shiny things. Just because you can get 65 metrics out of Facebook doesn't mean you should be looking at all 65, right? You want to target the ones that are unique to your business and that relate to your goals.
So is it Domo that will be able to identify when sales are down that a particular product was out of stock and bring that to the forefront, or is that something that we would have to plug into your information and then have that historically?
As long as we're tracking the products and we're looking at sales, we can not only tell you that that product's out of stock, but if we're doing it smartly, we're going to set alerts as that product is trending to go out of stock based on what's going on. The whole thing's about proactive alerts. I don't want to be looking back going, oh, shit, what happened? I'd like to know what's coming whenever possible so that I can start to plan for it. And that's exactly the goal of Domo. Ideally, ironically, even though the visualizations that we produce are, according to a lot of people, very beautiful and very easy to consume, we're putting more and more capabilities into the product that keep you from having to log into the product. The whole thing is by managing the business by exception. You tell Domo what's important to you, you set up your alerts, and then you get emails and texts as those things actually happen. Was there another question in the way back? Okay. Anything else, guys? I feel like this is the fastest presentation I've ever done.
It's been very quick.
They're like, oh, thank God. All right, well, listen, stop by booth 404. Also, hit up domo.com/retail. There is a white paper, by the way, that goes along with the concepts that we're talking about that talks about it in more detail. And I forget, that's domo.com/resources? No, domo.com/learn. We moved it.
Yeah.
Domo.com/learn if you want to check out white papers. We've actually done a couple webinars. In fact, we're doing one again tomorrow. And you can check that out as well, where we're going to talk specifically in more detail about 4 ways to build an effective dashboard specific to retailers. The kind of things that you should be looking at and not looking at when you're building out those metrics. So thanks for the time, gang.
Yeah, thank you.